Hello, everybody. Welcome to this week's episode of Star Watch, which is a weekly astrological transit report. If you're new here, my name is Jane. We're super happy to have you here. If you are returning, welcome back. Also glad to have you here. So let's not waste any time. Let's just go ahead and dive right into this chart for the week. So yes, the sun has moved into Cancer. Happy summer solstice to everybody. Here in the Northern Hemisphere anyway. So we have this beautiful sun coming into cardinal Cancer. And we have this beautiful moon coming into, she's waning, and she's making her way into a new moon, which is happening on the 28th, which is the exact same day that Neptune goes retrograde. So we're going to have a lot of these, more retrograde motions going on. And Neptune is a deeply emotional, kind of energy. And we can feel kind of greater forces at play sometimes. And sometimes it can bring some kind of existential questioning. It can bring, energies of like, what is this all for? What are we even really doing? Especially because Neptune is in the Plutonic decan of Pisces, right? So it's the Scorpionic decan, which of course we know that Scorpio and Pluto are the rulers of like death or transformation, death, rebirth, that kind of thing. And so when Neptune is associated with that particular energy, there is kind of that higher than ourselves type of approach, higher than ourselves, higher than the mundane and the regular life kind of thing. And so I think for a couple of days, specifically later, like next week, right, as we have Monday and Tuesday, which the 28th obviously is Tuesday. And so Monday and Tuesday, maybe Sunday, we may be really feeling that energy of Neptune slowing down, the moon making its way into its darker phases, making its way to that new moon. So it's possible that we may feel like kind of a pause in our life. I'm sure the mundane things will just kind of continue, but we'll feel this pause and we'll feel ourselves sort of resetting to some degree. And maybe our work ethic isn't like super strong, and maybe we're not necessarily feeling all like gung-ho about stuff. We just kind of need that moment to really think about why we're doing this. What is the point? Where is this leading us? And for those of us who are in situations where we are unhappy, whether it's a relationship, whether it's a job, a financial situation, a friendship that you have, an issue you're having with a child, whatever it is, the real question is why are we putting effort into this? Why are we dedicating and investing into this situation that's seemingly going nowhere, and what can I really do about it? And not necessarily, and I know Mars over here in Aries is all about action, and there is still going to be action needed. We are in a cardinal season, right? Cancer is cardinal, so we cannot disregard the initiation power that comes from being in a cardinal season. So we have this cardinal energy about beginning new things. We want to, kind of carry things forward. We want to take ourselves in new directions. We want to try new things. We're still very experimental with this Gemini energy coming in, especially as Venus comes into Gemini as well. We're willing to try. We're willing to try new things. We're willing to open ourselves up to the realm of like what truly is possible, even if that does mean getting really uncomfortable. And I think with Neptune going retrograde, some of us, not all of us, will experience a little bit of discomfort with kind of where we are and the investments that we've been making, or where we've been getting complacent and need to change. As the sun comes into Cancer, he's also making a square over here with Jupiter. Okay, officially 1 degree of Cancer as of today, Wednesday, June 22nd. Happy Mercury Day, everybody, by the way. Here's the sun at 1 degree. Here's Jupiter over at 6 degrees of Aries. So yes, the sun is coming into square with Jupiter. Now, this is really going to ask us to... Now, when we look at the sun in terms of like our soul, our spirit, kind of the inner drive, the places where we seek to really achieve. Jupiter, I think, is going to start asking us to think bigger. And that's been a theme, I think, for about a year now. Think bigger. Think as big as you possibly can. That was huge with all the Pisces stuff that we had going on at the earlier part of the year. Think as big as you can. Dream as big as you can. Don't limit the things that you're asking for. Don't limit your idea of your own potential. This Cancer season has the opportunity to really, and again, momentum has been a theme that's been kind of coming up for me as I'm preparing for the July readings. It's about building new and initiating new cycles of momentum. We're still maybe kind of living out the effects of old waves of momentum. So we are kind of in this weird crossover here, but we don't want to not start new waves, right? We definitely do want to start new waves of momentum in the direction that we truly, really want to head. Sorry, I had to make sure that my microphone was plugged in. I just realized we went through this whole thing. My microphone's not plugged in, but it is. Yeah, okay, just making sure. Okay. But yeah, so here we have this, this square with Jupiter, thinking bigger and actually like enabling or encouraging rather ourselves to really see that for us. And Cancer season there's a lot of, again, emotion that comes up with Cancer season. There's a lot of healing that comes through as well. But we don't want to disregard the power that Cancer season has. I mean, this is cardinal water. And we know that emotions play a huge part in manifestation. So when we are thinking about the future of our lives and what we want and where we want to go, and we choose to specifically not limit ourselves because Jupiter, right? We don't want to limit. We don't want to hold back. We want to be as high level perspective as we possibly can. We want to ask for all the money. We want to ask for the happiness. We want to ask for all the peace, all the things. And the emotion that we can conjure within ourselves can actually really be highly effective and usually pretty fast, because that's the essence of a cardinal water sign. So yes, take advantage of this. Take advantage of this time. So when you're thinking about your new moon ceremony, if you're planning on doing one, when you're thinking of writing in your journals and doing your affirmations or lighting candles, whatever it is you're choosing to do, please do not discount the power of getting that emotion going. So sitting and visualizing and meditating and thinking and dreaming and imagining all the things that you're hoping to achieve and attain in this lifetime. Just indulge. And I'm going to use that word indulge because I think, that's kind of the quality. It is an indulgence, and it feels really, really, really good when you think about having and living the kind of life that you ultimately want. Now, some of you are already pretty content, and that's great. And if you're content and you're happy and you don't really want anything more, then this is just a time to sit and express deep gratitude and kind of, practice your faith with Jupiter, right? We have a lot of faith and connection with the higher power with Jupiter coming through. So it's time to kind of just reconnect there. Just reestablish that bond that you have with your higher self. Mercury is still through Gemini, and this Gemini energy is really communicative. It's high energy, right? Mercury scoring pretty high. He's at a +5, which is great. And he's going to be kind of running through here, and he is going to be coming into a sextile with Chiron, and he's kind of finishing off his sextile with Jupiter over here. He seems to be really focused on movement for some reason for me. I don't know why. He seems to be really focused on movement. Seems to be focused on keeping himself stimulated through experimentation, through trying new things, through travel, through reaching out to old friends, connecting with people that you haven't spoken to in a while, through new ideas, through brainstorming. And I suspect that energy is going to continue throughout the course of the week, especially as Venus comes into comes into Taurus, which is happening like right now, okay? It's happening today. So she is coming into Gemini, she's leaving Taurus, she's coming off of the sextile with Neptune, the square with Saturn, and the trine with Pluto. So she's kind of getting some relief as she comes into Gemini. And then she's going to be making her way into a sextile with Jupiter. So we have a Sun squared Jupiter and a Venus sextile Jupiter. So Jupiter is getting some attention this week, which is good because he's been kind of just normal. He hasn't been necessarily offering a whole lot. He's just been kind of sitting on the sidelines and letting Mars and Venus do their whole thing, like with Chiron and Uranus and North Node and all that. And now he's kind of coming out to play and he's offering that expansive quality. It is an excellent time to work with your other people, right? Venus, all about relations. Work with your other people and communicate with them if you need to have conversations with them, especially if they're about, emotional topics or cleansing or purging or clearing the air with someone. Now is a really good time to clear the air with someone if you have beef with them, if you're having issues with a spouse, excellent time to just sit and talk and to be able to be fully transparent. Because I know that Venus through Taurus, Taurus in and of itself, it's an earth sign. And so I'm not saying that Taurus people, okay? I'm not saying Taurian people. I'm just saying the archetype as an earth energy. It's not super fluid and therefore not super transparent. I think, air signs, water signs, fire signs, they have a tendency to be a little bit better with that transparency because they're just higher or lower density, right? They're not as dense. Earth obviously is very, very dense. So as Venus makes her way into air sign Gemini, there's more transparency there. And Gemini, from a traditional astrology perspective, it does have this quality of like building things and then tearing things apart. So there's this value, I think, being placed on what can be built after having torn some things apart. And I think maybe Mercury is also kind of playing a part in that. He's being playful here. He's looking at opportunities for him to get his hands dirty in and for him to like really sink his teeth into. He's looking for projects. He's looking for relationships. He's looking for friendships and conversations to get in. And, he's really looking for something to strike his passion. And when that passion is triggered, right? Venus coming in, who is a deeply passionate planet, when she comes in, she's going to say, okay, well then that's great, but I don't want to have passion just for the sake of passion. I want to really feel that and I want to indulge in that and I want to expand, right? With Jupiter, I want to expand on that and I want more of it. And so there's kind of this facilitation going on with Mercury and Venus and Jupiter of like carrying you toward more of the thing that feels great, more of the thing that lights you on fire. And we know Gemini is a really creative zodiac sign. There's a lot of life force, a lot of courage, a lot of bravery that comes through with Gemini as well. There's a lot of curiosity and kind of empowerment and stuff. And so, we can feel alive when we come through Gemini energy. We can feel really connected with this life, which is nice because with the Neptune retrograde going on and the new moon thing, that may have a tendency to kind of pull us out of ourselves a little bit too much. So I think there's like that nice balance going on between the existentialism of Neptune going retrograde and Pluto ruled deacon of Pisces and this Gemini energy. Okay. So Venus doing her thing over here, which is great. And then we also have Mars still in Aries. Today we have the moon coming conjunct Mars. So again, maybe a little bit higher energy, maybe a little bit quick to be emotional, quick to anger, a little bit, getting a little bit more irritable, but that won't be a long lasting thing. That will wane pretty quickly over here over the next several hours. Moon comes onto the other side of Mars. And then Moon makes his way through Taurus, where it's going to feel a little bit more settled. But Mars in Aries typically still has that action-oriented quality. And of course, now this is not technically in a square, okay? But Aries and Cancer by zodiac modality, right? Both are cardinals. So we do have the sun in cardinal. We still have a Mars in cardinal. So that's kind of creating some tension there as well. And again, we know cardinals, they like to initiate, they like to get things going, they like to build that momentum. And so whatever projects you're going on, there's huge opportunity this week for a lot of progress. Now, last week I was talking about, that last week was kind of like that little niche to kind of get all the little loose ends wrapped up and, get things tidy and check items off the list. And that's because of what's happening this week, Sun coming into Cancer. Now we have to focus on the new things. If you still have not completely finished certain things that you would have liked to have gotten finished, it depends on the priority. Depends on how important it is. I wouldn't want to see you wasting time with things that you can take care of later, especially if you're feeling that passion. Like, I don't want you to sacrifice passionate moments and creative moments for the sake of like doing your dishes or for the sake of like running those 3 errands that you've been needing to take care of like forever. I would say prioritize the creativity, prioritize the passion, prioritize the things that light you on fire, get the energy going, get the energy moving, and then you can come back and do all those things like when you have time, okay? Because Mars in Aries wants to be in battle. He wants to really go for it. And if you have something that's worth going for it for, then by all means, please do that. To have Mars in Aries and Venus in Gemini, these are like really masculine energies. Of course, fire and air are masculine polarities, or gender rather. And so we do have a lot of masculinity happening. A lot of masculinity. We've got Jupiter, Mars, Venus, and Mercury. The sun obviously is in feminine Cancer, but we do have a lot of masculine forces. So we do want to be more external in our life. We want to focus on the things that are in our external world a little bit more. There will still be a lot of internal things happening with the sun coming through Cancer. I mean, don't get me wrong. There's still going to be emotional qualities, using the emotion for manifestation, all that kind of stuff. But generally speaking, in terms of how we are living our lives, there's going to be a lot of movement. You're going to be talking to people, you're going to be moving your body, you're going to be building and creating and all that kind of stuff. Now I'm just repeating myself over and over, sorry. I need a bigger vocabulary, I think. Saturn's still over here, again, like I said, Venus coming off of that square, Saturn still offering us that opportunity to revolutionize and reevaluate and really create those changes, right? Now, the thing about Aquarius is it's really twofold, right? We have both Saturn and Uranian rulership. Hold on one second. Let me grab a sip of coffee. By the way, I found this coffee. It's decaf. It's called Purity Coffee. I don't know if you guys know, but because I'm like really paranoid now because of what I have going on in my body about like molds and all sorts of chemicals and whatnot. So once in a while, I will indulge in like a decaf cup of coffee, which I have right now. And this company, Purity Coffee, like they take care of all of that. This is not an ad, by the way. I'm just letting you guys know. They take care of all of the mold and everything, and they use like certain processes to ensure that certain chemicals don't come out in the beans when they cook them and all this. They're like very, very careful, and they have this really careful screening process and everything. So if you're someone who's trying to heal, but you still want to have a cup of coffee once in a while, I think it's good. It's been okay for me. I try to have like, just a couple cups a week, not like every day or anything, but just heads up in case you wanted to know that. But yeah, Saturn over here, right, with the Uranian and the Saturnian rulership. This is what makes Aquarius energy so like confusing sometimes, right? Because on one hand, Uranus wants to tear down the walls and go kind of anarchist and break all the rules and wants to grow and really push the boundaries and challenge the system and go against the grain and all of that. But there's still the Saturnian rulership there, traditionally, right? So Saturn is still kind of that nostalgia. It's like pushing the boundaries, but to go back to the way the world used to be, right? Or something like that. It's like there's still that confusion there. And so you may be feeling a bit nostalgic lately and thinking about life the way it used to be and how simple it used to be, and especially like when you were a kid, right? Because of course this is aspecting Leo by opposition, so you're thinking about times when you were a kid and when you were able to play and go outside, and you were so free and all of that. And I think a lot of people are starting to they're trying to figure out a way to recapture the essence of their childhood moving forward. They want that freedom. They want that happiness, right? They want the, like I remember when I was a kid, I used to run around barefoot everywhere I went. Like literally, I'd run down the street, I'd ride my bike barefoot, I'd climb trees barefoot, I'd go to the park barefoot. And I'm kind of like even finding myself like walking around everywhere here barefoot now, right? Trying to ground myself and connecting with the earth and going out and weeding my garden and whatever. And I realized, I'm like, that's what I used to do as a kid. Like, I feel like I'm, that 8-year-old girl that used to have her little flower garden in the backyard where her dad helped her to make, her little deck with her little garden chair and tables and stuff. And I'm like, wow, like that's so weird that I just sort of naturally gravitated toward that particular childhood memory, right? And so there might be something there for you with that, and something very healing, and something that you may wish to integrate from your past that was good and healthy and that made you really, really happy. As much as Saturn can be a really cold, harsh planet, he's only really cold and harsh if we've wandered too far away from our most authentic self. He's only cold and harsh when we are lying to ourselves, or when we are, living a life that's not cohesive with what makes us truly have joy in our life. And so some of us may be having some cold, harsh realities with this Saturn retrograde. Now that he's very comfortable in that retrograde position, we may be having some kind of strikes of lightning or brilliant moments of like, where are we really not being authentic? Where are we lying to ourselves, or where are we not being honest, or where are we denying ourselves the simple pleasures and the simple things that brought us so much joy as a child? So that may be something just that may resonate with some of you. And I think that's pretty much it for the week. This new moon coming in Cancer, let me fast forward the clock a little bit, which is happening on Tuesday. Okay, so on Tuesday, the moon enters into Cancer officially, right? We've got Venus in that square with Jupiter, in a sextile with Jupiter. Here's the moon, here's the sun. We have a very strong Saturn and a very strong Mercury. Venus kind of falls in her strength, obviously, because she's moving into Gemini. It's not her rulership anymore. So she's going to kind of go to the bottom of the list in terms of strength. Jupiter's still hanging out around 4. The sun is at a 4. Like, it's all okay. But yes, Saturn very strong, and also Mercury very strong, because of course he is in rulership here. Mars also strong, being in rulership. So this new moon, because it's in Cancer and therefore aspects Capricorn, also Aries, and also Libra, right? All the cardinal energies are going to be activated with this new moon. So any of these areas, right? Cancer is home and family, where we came from. We have Aries. Oh, I just realized that's super weird. I'm actually going to be traveling this week, going home to visit my father. So that's interesting. Like going home and family. Well, there you go. And then we have Aries, which is our self and our bodies. We have our relationships, our romantic relationships, business partnerships, that kind of thing, all activated, in our career. And maybe for some of you, it's multiple areas. Maybe for some of you, it's just one area. But these are going to be good areas of focus to really think about what it is that you wish to grow. What do you wish to nurture, right? Cancer is all about nurturing, right? We want to be that maternal aspect for ourselves, and to really care for and feed and nourish an aspect of us or an aspect of our lives that maybe has been neglected. And if that's career, being completely honest about what is satisfying, what is not satisfying, what is working, what is not working, and what actions you can take, or asking for guidance. If you don't know what actions you can take, asking for guidance, asking for illumination of what can be done in order to make those changes so that the necessary revisions can be made. Okay? All right. I'm going to leave you guys with that. It's a good week. It's a good week, I think. It'll be probably a subtle week. I think as Mars comes through Taurus, starts to really build with that Uranus, like even, I'm just going to fast forward a lot here. I know this is like way, way, way in the future, but we can kind of see late July, Mars coming into that conjunction with Uranus and the North Node. This is going to be crazy. There's going to be a lot of really crazy stuff that happens, not to mention that we have the sun coming into a square with that stuff over here in Taurus, right? This is officially Leo season. So, I mean, this is just going to be like, there's just going to be a lot of stuff happening. So this is a nice kind of period of time where we can just move forward and make things happen and get that momentum going before this kind of stuff. And we'll talk more about that as we get closer and closer to it, but just to kind of prepare you for it. Okay? All right, so I'm going to leave you with that. Thank you so much, you guys. I love you. Have an amazing week, and I'll talk to you soon. Take care.